So the left is taking charge on a new issue. They found a new rallying cry. This is in The Intercept. Progressives plan to push big cuts to defense spending, citing coronavirus crisis. Senator Bernie Sanders will propose a sweeping 10% cut to Pentagon spending, with the savings redirected as grant money to high-poverty areas in the United States, according to the text of a forthcoming amendment his office shared with The Intercept. Members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus are planning to use Sanders' amendment as part of an effort to push for drastic cuts to military spending in this year's budget in response to the coronavirus pandemic and its devastating economic impact. The group of legislators also wants to build support for the idea of reducing the Pentagon's mammoth expenditures in anticipation of a future Democratic administration and budget rules set to change next year. So, this applies to everything except military payroll and the defense health program. So nobody's going to take a pay cut, and no healthcare programs are getting cut. And outside of that, the cuts are 10% across the board, which would bring the total authorized spending down by about $74 billion. Now I don't know what year this is from. This could be any time within the past 4 or 5 years. But this is, roughly speaking, what it looks like every single year in terms of how much more we spend compared to the rest of the world combined. Look how much more we spend. This is on the military budget. You put all these countries together, all those countries together, and you're not even equaling what we spend. So those are our priorities. Imperialism is our priority. Way more than giving people health care, way more than helping the homeless, way more than wages, way more than rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, which gets a grade of D+ according to the Society of Civil Engineers. So everything here crumbles, and we spend our money on endless wars of aggression, illegal wars, which are immoral and kill civilians. This is what it looks like. Isn't that amazing? Now, so let's comment on the substance of this proposal. Now, this is a rallying cry. A bunch of progressives are getting together. Basically, the article goes on to say that they're testing out their clout to see how much they can really get together as a voting bloc. It's not enough. It's not enough. Somebody made this point on Twitter. They said, you go back maybe 5 years, and there was a push from, it was Rand Paul, and it may have been Bernie, or it may have been another Democrat. I'm blanking on who the other one was. But it was Rand Paul and a Democrat, and the push was, let's cut the military budget by 25%. Now, I'd argue even that's not enough, okay? But 25% is the bare minimum. Bernie and the progressives are calling for a 10% cut. Guys, just so you know, this last military budget, the spending was increased by $100 billion. So Bernie's cuts are to cut $74 billion. That's less than what we just had as the increase in the military budget this year. That's nothing. That's peanuts. See, this goes to show the problem with the Overton window. It keeps creeping further and further and further and further right, to the point where, listen, Bernie appears to be getting more and more conservative. This is not something, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, he wouldn't have said 10%. He would have said at least 25%. Why are you doing just 10%? And you know that it was just $100 billion added to the military budget. Sorry, I love Bernie, but I got to hold him accountable here. This isn't nearly enough, bro. Like, come on. And it's not even like you have a borderline argument. Like, if you told me 20%, I could see the counter arguments of like, okay, maybe the reason why they're doing 20 and not 40 or 50 and not even 25 is because 20 is a decent amount, but it's also politically possible to get somewhere. No, none of these are getting anywhere. So since none of them are getting anywhere, why would you not say 50%, 40%, minimum 25%? So there is no reason why you should cut it that little, especially when it was just increased by $100 billion. Now you want to cut it by $74 billion. You're not even getting rid of what the freaking increase was. It's just, it appears like he's getting more and more conservative between this and his vote on the CARES Act. Like, why? I don't think Bernie of 10 years ago or 20 years ago would have done this. I think Bernie of 10 years ago or 20 years ago would have said at least 25% cut. And I think Bernie of 10 or 20 years ago would have voted against the CARES Act, because the CARES Act was nothing but a giant giveaway to the wealthy with absolute crumbs for regular people. And, you know, I think the comparable vote back in 2009 was the Wall Street bailout, and he voted no on that. So I don't know why he voted yes this time. It seems like... I love Bernie, so it pains me to say this, but it almost seems like Washington, D.C. has beaten him down over the years. Because when you're the only sane voice in the room, and for so long you're standing up and you're pushing back against a freaking tsunami every day, that wears you down, man. And maybe after a while you start to feel like you're the crazy one. Like, am I the crazy one? Am I the crazy one for wanting to massively reduce the military budget? Am I the crazy one for wanting Medicare for all? Am I the crazy one for wanting free college and wages to go up and being pro-union? Am I the crazy one? I don't know, but it's not enough. This is not enough. It's not enough. I'm sorry, it's not. And I find it stunning that this is what the apparent consensus was between all the progressives. I mean, maybe it was a way to get on some other people, some progressives who would normally latch on. I don't know, but how much do you want to water it down to appeal to those people? Not enough. I mean, I like where their head's at. I like the idea in principle, but it needs to be at least a 25% cut. And we should probably hold these guys accountable because cutting that 10% really ain't doing Dickie McGee's axe now, is it?